Just as we recited this prayer for taking refuge and generating bodhicitta mind, so we should try to reinforce this the motivations in our mind. So we begin the spiritual practice with the first taking refuge in three jewels. So this is not something which is unique in Buddhism, but you will also find in other religion as well. Yes. Yes. So of course, three jewels is in Buddhist taking refuge, but in a similar kind of practice you find in other religions in the beginning of their practice. What is that in Christianity? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Yeah. Yeah.
The Son is here, and the Holy Spirit.
Father's here.
Father,
Son, and the Holy Spirit.
the Spirit.
Father, and then Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Spirit is like the
So like even though in Christianity, so there's only we believe in like a theistic religions where you only believe in one God, like Almighty God, but still yet they in the beginning of all their rituals, so they have this, they are, which is similar to in Buddhist, like in practice of taking refuge. So they have the three cross, the Father, Son, and the Spirit. So yeah. So in Buddhism, so the object where we take refuge, so are three, which we call it three jewels, so which are the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, and this to help with this taking refuge. So there's a prayer which we recite in the at the start of the practice. That's like which says, "I go for the refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha." So that is the refuge prayer. So the one way in Buddhism we recognize, we identify those three jewels. So which is that we recognize the Buddha, the jewel as the guide or as a teacher, and whereas the the Dharma jewel, so as the teaching which need to be put into practice, and then the Sangha jewel is like the like a friend, who who assists ones in the practice. Or those who are the followers of the Buddha's teaching dharmas. So these are they can be recognized as a Sangha jewel. So if you use as an example of a patient to be in order to be cure from the illness, then the doctor is like a likened to the Buddha, and the medicines is like the Sangha, sorry, is Dharma, and the Sangha is likened to like a nurse who supports the patient. So the Dharma is like a medicine.
Give medicine, they also have nothing help. So that is only again the case of failure Saturday. Never take Droda, metal, never the trot, Jeda, member dig then who net to buy him, member dig the dig mete, never try and phone. The Genke come here at the Genke, true, said, told the come here at the come here at the mother said over. Net to buy in a Buddha chick, member kit, metal, never try them. Tanga, member 10, net to buy, my member 10 meter, in net travel trap. There's your one. Some today got a yard head, you do it. Come here at the sun, Lawyer Carrot and lawyers and Chinjar come here at the good one. Something regarded.
No. So the Sangha or a spiritual friends, these are also the regarded as a model, as a perfect model, or a inspiration for ones to follow the Buddha's teachings. So it's like how if you will have some patients who been able to be completely cured of certain illness, because by depending on certain like a doctor, like a physician, and then following the prescription of that the doctor. So when you meet such a patient who's been really completely cured, then you'll be, if you also suffer the same illness, then you'll be very inspired to go to the same doctor that same patient has followed. So in a kind of similar way, this the Sangha, so as a refuge project, the refuge object, so it has the same, supposed to give the same kind of inspiration and become a perfect model for ones to follow this the Dharma. And then, if we look into the meaning of that, the refuge prayers, so which goes like I go for the refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and then through the virtues that I collected, by the virtues that are collected through through the practice of giving and so forth. So may I achieve the complete enlightenment. In order to benefit all sentient beings. So this prayer, so actually it shows, not only shows you the three objects, but also the manner or the how you take refuge in three jewels. So the refuge prayer, if you look into the meaning, it also shows the reason, why you take refuge in three jewels. So it when you think on the meaning, the content of the prayer, then it kind of explains that. So of course, whatever the object that you take refuge in, depending on your religions, but there should be, when you take refuge in, there should be some reason, some objective for one, why you take refuge.
Awesome. That's so in the symbol terms, so usually when whenever we seek some like protection, seek some help or guidance, so usually we do that when we see some sort of problems or some as an escape from some suffering or some fears, and so therefore in same way, so there is the as a one of the factors to really to take refuge in to spiritual refuge is also same thing, that is you have to be this clear recognition or some awareness of some the problems or some sufferings which you want to avoid, to be free from, and so therefore in order to free oneself from that problem or suffering, then as you look for you search for the refuge object, or in another word, so you search for the object who is fit or who is qualified,
who has all the capacity to to give one's protection. So therefore, in Buddhism, so such object that we take refuge, we see as a perfect object who can free one, liberate one from the suffering, and all the fear is like the Buddha, and so therefore you can understand here when you look in the process. So how when after people have found the perfect object of their refuge, of some protection, then how they also next step is how important it is to fully trust oneself in that object with a complete faith in that, so like a wholehearted trust and the faith in that object. So you can also see that element of faith also in the process of taking refuge. And so therefore in Buddhism, so you rely on or you trust yourself completely on these three jewels, that the whatever the one's lies in one's future, whether it's the happiness or the sufferings, whatever is in front of one in future, whether it's something the good or bad. So you trust completely and have a faith in the object which you have a faith and which you see as the fit or the perfect object for taking refuge. And now the next thing that we also have to know is then, having relying on or entrusting one in those the object of the refuge with full complete trust and faith, and then to how you you receive protections, or you be able to be liberated from the fear or the sufferings of whatever you want to avoid. And then if we simply take like a kind of simply praying to the object of the refuge, just saying that we I'll completely trust you and just in my future is in your hand and you kind of and if you simply do that and then it is not going to that is not enough for one to be free, to be liberated from one's the sufferings and the problems. So therefore we can understand here that the having relying simply on the refuge object like as a Buddha or as a teacher is not enough. So you also, because in order to be what really liberate one, what really free one from is the practice which one should integrate, one should put into practice, and so therefore this next refuge object, which is we call it the object like a dharma or the teachings or the instructions, which is the given by the Buddha or the teacher. So that is very is very essential. And so it is the what really gives one the real actual protection or actual refuge is the following those teaching into practice, and then through gaining the internalizing those instruction in one's practice. So this is what one gives one can get protections, and then as well as you do this, it's also important for one to be always trying to be acquaintance with a virtuous friend who can be by associating with those can also give you more inspirations for one to on the path in following in doing the practice. So whereas how even after when you follow the path, but if you get the associate or get relying on some some the evil or something very destructive friend, then they can be have some negative influence on one's practice. So therefore this third object, which is the sangha, we call it sangha, taking refuge in sangha, is also very important for that. So this is just a brief explanations, but and it gives you some sort of idea of the what is this the meaning of taking refuge. And then we can also find in the all other religion as well, and then there is also as part of this whole practice of spiritual practice, then there is which is really which really derives, this practice is really derived from the instructions, from the in some if like a theistic religions, so it's come from the God, a certain instruction which one should accept, which one should adopt to be adopted in one practice, and whereas there are some other things which which should be eliminated or should be abandoned. So these instructions. So as part of the refuge practice of taking refuge. So these following these instructions which the of what is to be adopted and what is to be abandoned. So this is very very essential practice.
저거 싫어하잖아. 서 싫어 배제시. 저거 싫어하겠니? 얘들 랜드 뭔데 저거 딱지 계속. 맞아 저버려서 가면 캘래고 뭐그 말했어. 세발라 저거 싸지면 아주 순대 싸지면 뭐대 그거 말 저거 싫어하겠. 얘들 랜드 뭔데 저거 싫어하겠. 저거 래야 봐야는 캘래지. 그 말에 솔직하게 응연해 봐. 내제 로제 카나다 시르는 동고 제는 제가 아마 네 제가 저는 얘는 얘가 들죠 뭐. 나 얘가 얘는 저는 얘가 되는 거 샤무게 안 되는 데만 벌써 와서 살아. 제가 뭐야? 얘나기 레면 저는 다시. 레요 저는 스케일 레만 켈레 동물이. 얘는 로제가 카시에서 그 저는 상도 너무 내내 소재가 되게 너무 많이 비춰지게 되시네.
And so so even though the Buddha clearly taught his followers what to be adopted and what is to be the abandoned. But also he also said that the what is important is to apply your own knowledge, your own like the sense of discriminations. The critical, rational thinkings, and so Buddha didn't. Never said that, this is never kind of imposed on his, follower to accept, and simply blindly follow what he said. But rather he really encouraged the follower to examine his words. And this is very, in fact, you can see it's very unique. The feature of the Buddha's teachings, Buddha's teachings, and also it has by saying that, because the Buddha see the importance of really to opening up your own the inner knowledge in order to gain the enlightenment. So therefore he even didn't say that that you should ask commands his follower to actually to pay homage to him. So it should, what is important is to utilize to your own this sense of knowledge, sense of intelligence, and see whether it is right and wrong, and then to accordingly then you should follow.
샤 제네도 뭐니 같은 내가 특제 가는 같이 가는 서서 손 땅에 된주 내가 yap건데 서서 로지가 되는 타제비 뒤지스로 시행이다. 서서가 로데 서서가 된 시랑 로데 제비 때문에 그게 계속 뭐셔도 서서 시랑 따제 젠 레도 말에 따제 젠 제가 때는 얘기 한번 더 하자. 수고. 최초로 싫어하는 거 아니네. 너서 때도 얘는 만나지 때문에
So from these, the emphasis that the Buddha put on his follower to utilizing their own discriminating knowledge. so we we can understand that there's a great the benefit, and also it has got a kind of it gives us a great advice. So even if you take into account of the just mundane activities, so how if it is important to, before we undertake the activities or tasks, it's important to really to examine first, to have a good look at what kind of whether you have all the resources to accomplish that task or not, and also to look into what kind of the possible obstacles or that you will face to accomplish tasks. So you look into that, and also whether you have all the other capacities to achieve this or not. So in this way, when you take into account of the whole task and what you want to do, all based on one's own knowledge, and so this is what the Buddha is emphasizing, that we should be recognizing our own self knowledge, based on our own intelligent, rational thinking and mind, is as our ultimate source of our true guidance, and so in this way, how then after that based on that, then if we proceed with whatever task we want to do, and if we follow, then we can be more more can be good cause for the success, and then we cannot be easily even deceived or easily be influenced by along the way some other other peoples who give some wrong advice, so to speak.
So never monkey part of Sip Papa Tele. Madoka, Sip Jerk, part of this year. I sent a guy, Sip Jerk, and the garden, Sip the other. Part of the garden, do mother. I'm on the team on the general. Mother Ligai, Chisho Shine and that, all that guardian and that, Mother team on the world. Chipala landed as a mobile yard, me carrying one, they are dead in the world. Take care, do not pass it. I thought Saint Carry and that, you got call level, no more than one of the art said you. Can't pass it, mother, you got to come on. Very thing on the world, no bad thing on top. Some sort of thing on low park. Don't know, there I had in Jersey. There I had it, you want to choose. I'm on the English and never want to tell them.
So this thing, or about what the thing that we should what to adopt, what to be adopted, and what to be abandoned. So these two things, which you can also the really core. You can see that in the core, in in the mind of all the peoples, whether if you are, someone who, follows certain religious practice, then in that practice, really the reason why you are following that practice is also, which can be summarized into those two. Or if you just are mundane people who don't, non-believer, but still yet in everyday life, whatever you do, whether you, the reason why you go to work, so also you can be reflected in these two. So really the question is then to what if you trying to find out more specific about what are those two. Then of course in first of all just in generalists, for all the people, whether anyone who's got a living beings who's got a mind or who are conscious, conscious being, then these two maybe falls into really the happiness. That's something that we all the being, with the mind, seek, and whereas the suffering is something that we all, every being is trying to avoid. So and so therefore now then if you consider yourself as a even if you consider yourself as a religious practitioners, then whatever religious you're following and whatever the level of that religious practice where you fit in, whether you are from the low, middle, or the very advanced practitioner, but really your underneath purpose for following the practice is again in search of happiness and to avoid sufferings. So therefore we can also as a religious practitioner, as a spiritual followers, again then even when we take into account of what to practice, what is our practice, then again the practice will be relating to these two. That is to something which is cause, which would cause for us to achieve what we want to achieve. So that is which is happiness. So in spiritual terms, so such cause is a virtues, virtuous actions, and then to the causes for avoiding or alleviating sufferings, so is the non-virtues. So again, we can also the practices that we follow, that can be also, we can also categorize into two in terms of what to do and what not to do. Yes. And also, if we look into the fact that how the causes, in terms of the causes for happiness and causes for sufferings, and then we can to some extent we can also see these both happiness and suffering can the arise or is depending on certain like external conditions, certain material conditions. But then from the point of view of all the major religions, then even though to some extent the happiness, sufferings are dependent on certain external or a material condition or to the outer external world, but really the main cause is really then the points to the towards the mind, towards something within the ourself. And so therefore we can say that so it is on the basis of the fact that the causes of the human or the mankind's like happiness and suffering is not really external causes are not the sufficient, and so rather the more important the primary cause is really is related to our mind or something within ourselves. So it is really on the basis of such belief, such idea, then we can say that there are like various religions have evolved in the tradition, have evolved in the world, and so in this way, it's the important. We have to understand that how when we follow the certain spiritual systems or religious systems, then it's important we have to take into account or about our own mind, or important to directing our focus for the cause of happiness or the sufferings within ourselves. And talking about the cause of happiness and in a joy, then again there's one common feature which we see in all the major religions. This is also, they're all saying that is really the cause is also rooted in the cultivation of like a loving kindness and a good heart.
Dona, Dibu said, Bapo, Gay said, Death. Then Gila, Nesemaju, Pesachang, the Kochum Sharadua. Tide Soshi, Gola, Rujita said. But you cannot undergo him this. Disable, Geshe said, Pacham on children, Lani, take you, that's on death of that. And the thing on the NSO. No, Disable, Geshe, Gila, Presentation, Nesemaju, really happened to us. Tachi TV dead, so something, God Jonathan, so the Ruji took the rest in
the and if I quote the words of the Lama Tsongkhapas, so who summarize the essence of the spiritual practice in this line, we're saying that in short, get rid of like a evil or evil mind, but relying on or cultivate virtuous state of mind, and then to never to hold like a ill or harmful thoughts, but hold the the altruistic or some like a beneficial mental beneficial thought, and then to the relying on like the spiritual learning, contemplation and the meditations, and that is the way to achieve liberations. So if you look in this, so that shows very clearly in a very simple terms the relative the what in spiritual, in our practice, what are our main spiritual practices.
贴被shira的说说严个热到期间的也不要的现在严个热严的到我说的已经来了这点不要嘛啊说说在这上说说把上头人那种门的看那种上头的这个他说没shira他跟你讲的真不见的有啊说了啊这就到那个的啊他看着来啥告诉啊Geshe Doga什么的还搞不着，稍微别人对吧？也让那些嘛，开始穷的，老家别人对吧？吃了上多的，在马街了现在，不给那个的，呀，也让那些嘛，开始穷的，吃了上多的，没啥办法。小盖牙了，你妈这里比较了，偏不马街，那些不怎么些啊，就老了些许的。这年华的人那么大的，电脑机啊，人那么大就眼那个，他这老家这些，这怎么晓得？他在家怎么是没学习的？从这都还搞不了的，不过他说是吧？这些波了，人家这些电视还搞什么是吧？这个没给他这个，反正没给他这个发光，人家给他这这个把这还搞什么的。
So just to go over that the passage from Lama Tsongkhapa. So when the first line when Tsongkhapa says, in short, to get rid of the evil mind or the evil thoughts and the and to cultivate and relying on a virtuous state of mind. So in here, so when this word evil mind or evil thoughts, so this basically refers to all the if you like the 10 non-virtuous, which are those 10 actions which we must get rid of. And so this is also something in aligned same message is also aligned with some other religion as well. So if we look at the first three these 10 non-virtues as an action which we as an instruction which the advise us what to be abandoned or eliminated, and then it relates to the in terms of what to be eliminated in terms of our bodily actions, then like to be non-virtuous, of like the killing and the stealing and the sexual misconduct. So and from this, so we can also understand on the contrary, then we can understand the 10 virtues. So which talks about when in the next line when say we relying on the virtuous state of mind. So which is to adopt, to accept the practice, like of the restraint or the refraining from the such the act of killing and so forth. So therefore now this is also the even the Lord Buddha also taught this about this the 10 refraining from 10 non-virtues, and when you look at that, the very first one is the refraining from killing, from the act of killing, and so this from this or this implies that how the in the Buddha's teaching as the most important is this practice of is based on the like the principle of non-violence and compassions, and so this is to we, as you can see in the next line where how Tsongkhapa also says to never to hold any such ill or harmful thought. So this also the saying the advising us to eliminate such any thoughts or any actions which causes harm to other beings. So this which something practice as core practice of the Lord Buddhas of not causing harm to others. So if this is something that which we have to if we integrate into our everyday life practice, and then it can be really can be a great cause to bring more happiness, more and to avoid sufferings. So therefore we whether we talk in terms of the experiencing happiness for and to not experience suffering, even in terms of just one or two peoples, how it is this the practicing the such the compassion is how important it is to, and it's just from the fact that we look into any beings, so there's always a desire for the happiness and also not wanting any suffering, not wanting any harm, and so therefore this means that how if we cause harm to other beings, and so in this way then we will be then we cannot in fact in the creating cause for harm for ourselves as well, and as because they do not want such harm from others, so therefore the we can understand that how if you talk of the happiness in terms of in the community or in a larger scales, so how it is all depend upon the being living in the world, being always being kind or showing sense of care and respect towards each other, and so if when we do this, we can see that how naturally then we can create a peaceful and harmonious and the world. So in this way, this line also, when it says here, third line also says how it is also important to learn the Dharma, as well as to contemplate on the meaning of the Dharma. So this also to show that while it's important to acquire knowledge, through listening to the teaching and so forth, but at the same time, in order for that learning to be something very the beneficial, something to be very useful, then it is necessary to put it into practice, and so in order to put into practice, then one have to actually to contemplate, to develop that the learning into the what we call as the contemplating, the learning or the knowledge, into the knowledge which arises from contemplating on the the meaning of the one's learnings. So through this, then once you through contemplating on the what you have learned, and then it really your learning become as a arise as a true knowledge within yourself, rather than it is something dependent upon the others, or like what you learn from the from others. So the external cause. So therefore, once the such through contemplating, and once the knowledge is well established within yourself, and then, as you say, then you we proceed with the the meditation practice. Meditate on that. So in this way, the how in this short few lines, so you can find the whole the practices which we can apply according to our own levels, whether it's also something we can apply it in everyday life to bring more more in order to bring more happiness and to have less sufferings. How this the applying this kind of practice is very you will find it very effective, and as well as the teaching also, then if you also the seek for the everlasting state of, like a state of liberation, of state of everlasting happiness, then again this is also clearly indicated here.
대통령 그냥 대하시고 이런 걸 봐. 대통령 다 멋이라 되지 이거. 칼칼을 많이 얘는 내가 되지 멀리도 못 빼야 되지 봐. 멋제 걸어는 내는지 내 봐. 멋제 걸어 씨도 깨져 시행되고 대대 완전 파리고 이게 이용되어. 완전 개선 도저히 되려야. 안 보면 돼. 저 제기를 얘는 내가 제기를 그 병원 세 근데 제가는 큰일 받아야 특별히 이제는 뭐가 쉬워지. 제기를 이제 용지. 제기 소통 용지. 제기를 이제 제기를 소통지. 해면 돼야 내가 병원 과 주도 제자는 제기를 이제 용만 대변 당근에 까가 먹을 때는 안 세통도 와, 근데 들제는 매 강한 모든 완전 세는 거야. 손 들도록 강하게. 대만 제일 무시했는데 아주 강하게 거. 와. 해바저리 세는 안 내바저 강한 놈이 좋아. 근데 진짜 손 들도록 아, 야보 좋아. 손 얘는 세지 저로 손도 봐. 먼저 뭐지? 간단히 따라하자. 멋지는 않는 얘가 멋지는 않는 때가 그걸 뭘 때가 맞아 저도 내가 뭘 때가 그러지 뭐냐 다 뭐가 특히 뭐야 되는 용어야 돼 뭐야 때가나 때사 뭐 그걸 맞아 편도지 그걸 시험하지 그걸 이제지 그걸 이제지 그걸 또 제대로 대체는 소소라든지 계속 지은 거로 누가 얘가 계속 소소를 계속 샹고 때리는 거 대중간에 손에 앞에서 만들자 손 들고 지체 그걸 먼저 걸어는 손 도저 손도나 대부분 되었는데 얘 가야만 되게 내세 맞아 얘는 내세 맞아 패세 좀 콜로자를 맞아야 돼 얘도 뭐다 싶은 거야 이제 뭐라 계속 때세요 Geshe Doga niche, come on, get it. Then the Geshe,
So we can also find here what we learn here is about the practice which can increase, which is very effective for us to bring more happiness in our life and to avoid or minimize sufferings. So it's something which we can if we put into practice, so we can enjoy its benefit immediately in this in this very life. So it's not necessarily that talking about some, if we put this practice, then the result is something that we have to wait for some a long future time. So what we practice is something which we can see, we can observe its benefit directly in front of us. So we were saying how as Lama Tsongkhapa says here, never to hold any harmful thought, but rather should but to hold with a very beneficial mental attitude, beneficial thought. So this, if we take this as an advice and we're trying to put this into practice in our everyday life, and then you can imagine what kind of impact that will have on the one's life and also the people you are living with, and so it'll be very as he's saying here, in according to saying here, we have to, what people nobody want is the, what they want or what they desire is a harm or the problems. So therefore, whereas what they want, what they desire for is a joy, is a happiness. So therefore, how if on the one hand, we got to take into account of how if we do not follow this practice, and then that instead of respecting the feelings of other people, which is that they do not want harm, they only they do not want to be abused. So instead of that, how if you cause harm to them and show disregard to them, disregard their feelings and their what they want, and so how if you do this, then they should have create a cause, immediately cause a conflict, and then would also damage one's relationship with them. And then how we also important to also to consider why we need to do practice practice this compassion and towards other, and practice to show respect and show care towards other. So it's not necessarily because to benefit, really to support them, but in fact we can also say that these practices also automatically is also beneficial. Also, it's a gain for oneself, a gain for oneself as well, and so because, and especially when we think of ourselves, in terms of our own life, what brings happiness in our own life, what brings the security in our own lives, and generally, so most people then they all look for a good, to have a good relationship with others, or the people they're living with or they're working with. And these are all very important factor for most of us. So therefore, we can understand that how if the there is how it is, or everything comes back. If you if you show respect to others and do things that is only trying to to benefit others, and as much as possible trying to minimize anything that cause harm to others, create the disregard the feeling of others, and so how if you do that, then this can naturally brings the happiness, being the gain for oneself as well. Yes. So I say that the practice of Dharma is in fact is also a very effective tools to eliminate or to resolve various problems that we face in our life. So, let us, for example, if you take as an example of sometimes we would undergo sufferings when we feel hatred, when we feel anger, towards others, and so then now in order to solve, to overcome these problems, then we say the remedy is to meditate on cultivating like loving kindness or to patience, and so that is the Dharma, practice of Dharma here as a way to overcome this problem, which is more like emotional problems that and such problems which sometimes can be, even though it is, when you look at the nature of the problems, then it is really very much directly related to our, our mental, our state of mind, our way of thinking, and our certain our outlook of our mind, and so therefore it is in order to when we compare this problem with some other kind of the problem, hardship that we have in life, so where some problem which is more like something more external, so where to resolve the problem, we have to make a great deal of effort and also need a lot of resources and so forth. All depending on that also it might also take a time. So however, when we look at this, the internal, the kind of the problem that we experience inwardly, then on the one hand we can see this how this such problem can, even in a minute, you could experience a very serious, problems that you can experience, and likewise, just as how, if you're not careful, how quickly such problem, a problem which can, the emotionally related or mentally related can arise. So likewise, we can also understand that through, if you engage, to apply the meditation practice in a minute, we can also get rid of these problems, which really affects one's mental and emotional well-being, so much. So, so therefore, we have to, of course, it is also important to acknowledge the fact that how, when you look, when we think of ourselves, really, there's no one, among us who never at some point who never got, lose our temper, out of anger, and so we all have experienced that anger and hatred, and then when we check that, usually this the anger or hatred arises, in a situations where we are disturbed. We are unhappy, and so in this way, in similar way, it's also important to acknowledge the fact that when we confront some unpleasant action from others, so we could acknowledge the fact that why they are showing this such a ill feeling, such like anger towards us is the indication that there's something that they're not happy about, and so in this way, it's we now in terms of the how, just as we were saying, the way how the practice of the Dharma or practice of Dharma work in overcoming these problems, or the mentally or emotionally related problem, is because we say that Dharma means to it is a practice which which is to help us to really to direct the mind, from something like a wrong object or something a wrong object, from wrong object, towards the right objects, right thinkings. So in that context, so how then what the way to work is how, as a means, as a way to overcome the anger or hatred. Then we just said it earlier that we engage in the practice of like cultivating compassion or the such patience. So how when we engage in that practice, then and then how we as we able to to direct our mind towards this this right object of the or towards this in the sense of arise the mind, in the sense of in the shapes of like a loving kindness or the patience, and so in this way how the as this the thought such a loving kindness arises, or the as we are able to generate tolerance or patience, and then this naturally help us to to counteract, to remove this feeling of hatred and anger within us. So before we move into group meditations, so in these sessions, so we focus on how when we talk about our dharma or the spiritual practice, then we are not talking about any external world or something external objects. So rather we're talking about our own mind, our own thoughts and our own emotions, and then we discuss about the fact of how the importance of the getting rid of the evil thoughts, but cultivate the virtues or the positive thought. So in that in this context, then relating to this, then we talk about the the importance of the of integrating this, like the act, the on the one hand the refraining from the 10 non-virtues, and which, as you all know, which can be listed, like our three of the body of it, that is to refraining from the act of like killing and stealing and the sexual misconduct, and then the 4 of the speech, the lying, refraining from the acts of lying, and the divisive speech, and harsh speech, and the idling gossips, and then 3 of the mind, which is the refraining from the thought of like covetousness, and then the wrong view, and the harmful thoughts. So then these, and then we move on to the importance of always trying to maintain or hold a beneficial thought, like a thought, or like a good heart towards others, but not the harmful thoughts. And then there's also, we talk about how it is also important to combine all these 3 in our practice. 3, that is the studying or the learning of Dharma, and also as that learning as simply merely learning is not enough. So also we need to integrate the learning into like contemplating on the whatever we have learned, on the meaning of whatever we have learned, and as well as then to meditating upon that. So how then at the end, how when we do all this, put all this into practice of this, the combination of all the 3 together, the learning, contemplating, and meditation together, or to all this about practice of this, of getting rid of all the evil action, and but the cultivating or practicing all the virtues, and then the outcome of that, as is said, and then we will the persons we will achieve some the able to achieve the very calm, and the subdued inner continuums. So which means that we, as a result of such implementing this kind of practice in our life, then we as a being, then we will become or turn ourselves as a very calm, a gentle, and a loving person. So we'll begin the meditation. So just adopt the right postures, relaxing your body. So this in this meditation that we do, so where we use the breathing, as in and out breathing as the main object, and so therefore the after you found the right and the relaxing postures, then we should try to get rid of all the outgoing thoughts, and then we direct the full mental attentions on the incoming and outgoing breath, and as much as possible to to retain our mind, that this mental attention just on this, incoming and outgoing breath and nothing else. So we do this for a few minutes. Thank you.